The Oracle of Cathar was dying. Her 6 eyes had faded from brilliant amber to dull copper, her breathing shallow and labored. For 400 cycles she had guided the galactic assembly with her visions, glimpses of futures woven through quantum consciousness, warnings that had saved billions of lives. But now, in her final hours, she had called for an emergency session, not with the full assembly, but with the representatives of the Zephron Dominion. They came reluctantly. Commander Vexthor entered the Oracle's chamber with 3 of his high officers, their gray exoskeletons gleaming under the bioluminescent ceiling. The Zephrons were a proud warrior race, their empire spanning 47 systems, their fleets unchallenged for 2 centuries. They did not appreciate being summoned by a dying mystic. "Speak quickly, Oracle," Vexthor said, his voice a deep rumble. "We have strategic matters to attend to." The Oracle's primary eyes focused on him with terrible clarity, despite her weakness. "I have seen the humans." Vexthor's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "The primitives from Sol 3? The ones still confined to their single system?" "Oracle, your mind wanders in your final hours. They are barely worth silence." The word cracked through the chamber like a whip. The Oracle raised one trembling appendage, and holographic images flickered to life around them. Images from her vision. "I show you this not as a possibility, but as a certainty. If the Zephrons strike first, if you attack humanity before they are ready, you will never know peace again." The holograms shifted, showing scenes of devastation. Zephron worlds burning, fleets shattered, cities reduced to radioactive glass. "Dreams of an ancient mind," Vexthor muttered, but his officers had gone still, watching. "Not dreams," the Oracle whispered. "Truth. Listen, warriors of Zephron, for this is my final prophecy, and it will define the next millennium of galactic history." She gestured, and the images coalesced into a single human figure, unremarkable, soft-skinned, small compared to most galactic species. "Humans are weak," she began, "by every conventional measure. They have no natural armor, no toxic secretions, no psionic abilities. An average Zephron could tear a human apart with ease. Their bones break, their flesh tears. They are vulnerable to extremes of temperature, radiation, disease. By all logical assessment, they should have never survived on their death world." "Then why waste our time?" one of the officers asked. "Because," the Oracle continued, her voice gaining strength, "they possess something far more dangerous than claws or armor. They possess memory, and they possess something they call spite." The hologram changed, showing scenes from Earth's history. Humans trudging through frozen wastelands. Humans crawling through trenches filled with poison gas. Humans rebuilding cities from atomic ash. In their own history, they fought a war called World War II. Over 70 million of them died. Cities were firebombed. Civilians were slaughtered. Nuclear weapons were unleashed. And when it ended, the victorious humans didn't just rebuild their enemies' nations, they integrated them, educated them, turned them into allies. But the humans also never forgot. They documented every atrocity, every death, every crime. They built museums to their suffering. They taught their children, never again. Vexthor shifted uncomfortably. "This proves they can forgive and move forward." "How is this a threat?" The Oracle's eyes blazed. "You misunderstand. They forgave their own species. But you are not human, and that makes all the difference." The hologram shifted again, showing more of humanity's wars. Vietnam, Afghanistan, Korea. These were conflicts where humans were not defending their homeworld, not fighting for survival, yet they committed fully. In Vietnam, one of their nations fought for 20 years in jungles on the other side of their planet for ideological reasons. They lost 58,000 soldiers. They were defeated tactically, forced to withdraw, and yet they documented every name, built memorials, and the psychological impact shaped their culture for generations. 20 years for ideology. Imagine what they will commit for vengeance. "You ask us to fear them because they build monuments to failure," Vexthor scoffed. "I ask you to fear them because they never stop. Because their culture is built on stories of the underdog, the last stand, the impossible victory. They have a saying, 'It's not about the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog.' They celebrate lost causes that eventually won through sheer persistence. Their greatest heroes are often those who refuse to surrender against overwhelming odds." The Oracle coughed, her body shuddering, An attendant approached with medicine, but she waved them away. I have seen the branching futures. In most, humanity develops slowly, peacefully integrates into galactic society within 2 centuries. They become traders, explorers, diplomats. They contribute art, science, philosophy. They are fractious among themselves, but ultimately join the galactic community as partners. But in the future where you strike first, her voice dropped to a whisper that somehow filled the entire chamber. In that future, you create something terrible. You unite them. You give them a common enemy. You teach them that the galaxy is hostile, and then you show them weakness by failing to finish what you started. The hologram now showed a Zephron fleet attacking human colonies, ships burning, stations exploding, millions dying. Your intelligence reports say humans are divided, hundreds of nations, multiple languages, conflicting ideologies. You believe a quick strike will demoralize them, make them collapse into infighting. You believe they will sue for peace, accept subordinate status in your empire. Vexthor said nothing, but his posture confirmed the oracle's words. It was exactly the Zephron strategy. You are wrong. You will strike their colony world of New Terra. You will kill 4.3 million humans in the initial bombardment. You will broadcast your demands for surrender, and something will happen that you cannot predict because it exists nowhere else in the galaxy. The oracle's form began to glow with an eerie light as she channeled the last of her prophetic power. They will unite. Not gradually, not reluctantly, but overnight. Every faction, every nation, every ideological group will put aside their differences. They will look at those 4.3 million dead and make a collective decision. The Zephron dominion must end. Not must be defeated, not must be negotiated with. Must end. Completely, permanently. They will accept no treaty that leaves your empire intact. Impossible, Vexthor breathed. No species can maintain such unity, such focus for the decades it would take to— 73 years, the oracle interrupted. That is how long the war will last. 73 years of uninterrupted human focus on your destruction. Their economy will reorganize entirely around the war effort. Their children will be born into a society at war and will grow up knowing nothing else. Their brightest minds will dedicate themselves not to art or philosophy, but to weapons research. Every advancement in their technology will be weaponized. The hologram showed human shipyards vast beyond imagination, churning out warships. They will build fleets, not gradually, not cautiously, but in a frenzy of industrial production that will terrify you. They will sacrifice luxury, comfort, even health to feed the war machine. Their soldiers will volunteer by the millions, and when you kill those soldiers, more will come. And more and more. They will never stop sending their warriors against you. And the terrible thing, Commander Vexthor, is that they will do it efficiently. They will learn from every defeat. Every lost battle will be analyzed, studied, absorbed. They have a saying, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. They are obsessed with learning from history. Within 10 years, your tactical advantages will evaporate. Within 20, they will match you. Within 30, they will exceed you. Vexthor's officers were murmuring now, their certainty shaken. But surely, Vexthor said, surely after decades of war, after billions dead on both sides, they would accept a negotiated peace, return to their borders. Any rational species would. They are not rational when wounded, the oracle cut him off. They are methodical. They will pursue you to every system you hold. They will accept any casualty rate if it means advancing. I have seen human soldiers in my visions charging Zephron positions knowing they will die, doing it anyway because it creates an opportunity for those behind them. They call it sacrifice. They glorify it. They write songs about it. She coughed again, blood-equivalent fluid staining her robes. And here is the worst part. The part you must understand. They will make it personal. Humans name their ships after their dead. They paint kill counts on their fighters. They remember the names of fallen comrades and go into battle carrying those names with them. Every human who dies becomes fuel for human rage. You cannot break their will by killing them. You can only multiply their determination. The hologram showed the final battles. Zephron worlds under human occupation. Resistance crushed with mechanical efficiency. In year 73, human fleets will arrive at your homeworld. You will have defended it with everything you have left. It will not matter. They will breach your defenses. They will land troops. And they will offer you one chance to surrender. And, Vexthor asked, his voice barely audible, and you will take it. Because by then you will have learned what I am trying to teach you now. You cannot outlast human determination. You cannot outstubborn human spite. You cannot make them forget. They will pursue you across the galaxy if necessary, and they will never ever stop. The Oracle slumped, her energy spent. The holograms faded. So I beg you, Commander Vexthor, I beg you on behalf of trillions of lives across both your species. Do not strike first, wait. Let them come to the galactic stage in peace. Make them your allies, not your enemies. Because if you make them your enemies, there is only one possible ending to that story. Vexthor stood silent for a long moment, processing everything he had seen and heard. Then he spoke, his voice hard. The Oracle has given us much to consider. We will review our strategic options. But as he turned to leave, the Oracle's voice stopped him one final time, weak but clear. If you strike first, they will never stop. And you will die knowing I warned you, knowing you could have prevented it all. That knowledge will be your last thought as human ships burn your world. Remember that. Remember that I warned you, her eyes closed. Within moments, her vital signs ceased. The Oracle of Cathar was dead, her final prophecy delivered. Commander Vexthor stood in the command center of the Zephyron flagship Dominion's Pride, staring at the tactical display. 3 weeks had passed since the Oracle's death. 3 weeks of debate among the Zephyron High Command. The humans had expanded their presence in the border systems, not aggressively but confidently. They had established trade outposts, mining operations, research stations. They were clearly unaware they were being observed, evaluated, judged. Sir, his tactical officer reported, the human colony ship has completed construction of New Terra's orbital infrastructure. Population now exceeds 4 million. They're vulnerable. Minimal defenses. A single fleet could eliminate the threat before it grows, Vexthor finished. Yes, I'm aware. He thought of the Oracle's warning. But he also thought of Zephyron pride, Zephyron superiority. 2 centuries of unchallenged dominance. Could they really fear this primitive species? Accept them as equals without even testing them? The High Command had debated. Some argued for caution. The Oracle had never been wrong. Others argued that showing fear would embolden other species, that the Zephyron reputation required a demonstration of strength. In the end, pride won. Prepare the fleet, Vexthor ordered. We strike at New Terra in 48 hours. Total orbital bombardment. Leave nothing that can strike back. Broadcast our terms for human submission immediately after. Quick, decisive, overwhelming force. They'll have no choice but to surrender. His officers moved to execute the orders, efficient and confident. Vexthor told himself he was making the right choice, that the Oracle had been old, her mind failing, that humans were just another species to be brought under Zephyron control. But deep in his mind, in a place he refused to acknowledge, doubt gnawed at him. The attack came at dawn, New Terra time. 15. Zephyron warships emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. Their weapons locked onto population centers, industrial zones, the orbital platforms where human families lived and worked. They fired without warning. Kinetic bombardment from orbit, energy weapons that superheated atmosphere, antimatter warheads for the largest cities. In 6 hours, New Terra burned. 4,300,000 humans died, some instantly, others slowly, trapped in collapsing structures, choking on toxic atmosphere, burning in fires that consumed entire continents. The Zephyron broadcast their terms: immediate human withdrawal from all space beyond their home system, acceptance of Zephyron sovereignty, tribute in resources and labor. Compliance within 72 hours or further colonies would be targeted. They waited for the surrender. It never came. Instead, 3 days later, every human transmission channel broadcast the same message simultaneously. No government spokesperson, no military commander, no single leader. It was a compilation. Thousands of human faces, one after another, each speaking the same words in dozens of languages. We will remember. We will rebuild. We will return. And we will never stop. The transmission ended with a single image. The names of all 4.3 million dead from New Terra, scrolling for 6 hours straight. Vexthor watched it in his command center, and for the first time felt the cold touch of fear. Somewhere, in the space between life and death. Perhaps the Oracle's consciousness smiled sadly. The prophecy had begun. 5 years after New Terra Commander Vexthor studied the tactical display with growing unease. The holographic projection showed human space, or what used to be human space. It had transformed into something his strategists were calling the Forge. Every planet, every station, every asteroid in the Sol system and its neighboring colonies had been converted. The pleasure resorts were now weapons factories. The agricultural worlds grew only high-calorie rations for soldiers. The research stations that once studied art and culture now exclusively developed military technology. "Show me the fleet projections again," he ordered. His intelligence officer, a younger Zephron named Kresh, manipulated the display. "Sir, 5 years ago humanity had approximately 200 interstellar-capable vessels, mostly civilian. Today," he paused as if disbelieving his own data. "Today we estimate they have 7,000 combat-ready warships, with 200 more launching every cycle." "Impossible," Vex Thor breathed. "No species can industrialize that rapidly." "They're not industrializing, sir. They're sacrificing. 92% of their economy is now military production. Civilian luxuries have essentially ceased to exist. Their people live in prefabricated housing, eat synthesized nutrients, work 16-hour shifts. Every human over age 15 is either building weapons or training to use them." Kresh brought up intercepted human communications. "They've created something they call the long memory. It's not a government agency, it's a cultural institution. Every human child is taught the names of the new Terra dead. They memorize them, sir. 4 million names. It's part of their education now." Vex Thor felt his mandibles tighten. The Oracle's words echoed in his memory. "They will never forget." "What about their internal divisions?" The intelligence reports said they were fractured, hundreds of nations, conflicting ideologies. "We're fractured, sir," Kresh emphasized. "New Terra unified them in ways we didn't predict. Their old nations still exist in name, but they function as a single entity now. They call it the Terran Coalition. Every human government has subordinated itself to a single military command structure. Political disagreements still occur, but they've all agreed the Zephron Dominion must be eliminated, not defeated. Eliminated." Vex Thor turned away from the display, his 3 hearts beating irregularly. "And their technological progress?" "Accelerating. They've reverse-engineered our weapons from New Terra debris. They've adapted quantum drive technology we've had for centuries. Adapted and improved it in 5 years, sir. Their newest ships are faster than ours. Their targeting systems are becoming more accurate. And they're implementing AI battle algorithms that our strategists say are disturbing." "Disturbing how?" "Ruthlessly efficient, sir. No honor, no glory-seeking, no concern for elegant tactics. Pure mathematics. They calculate acceptable losses and execute without hesitation. They'll sacrifice 100 ships to destroy one of ours if the math favors them." Vex Thor returned to the display, zooming out to show the border regions. "Where are their fleets now?" "That's the concerning part, sir. They haven't moved yet. They're building, training, preparing. Our analysts believe they're waiting until they have overwhelming numerical superiority before engaging." "How long?" "Best estimate 2 more years. Then they'll come." Vex Thor thought of the Oracle's prophecy, 7 solar cycles to build their fleet. It had been 5 years. The timeline was matching perfectly. "Increase border patrols," he ordered, "and send a diplomatic overture to the human government. Offer to negotiate. Reparations for New Terra, perhaps we can—" "We tried, sir, 3 times. They never responded, not even to acknowledge receiving the messages." The cold fear grew stronger in Vex Thor's chest. They weren't interested in talking. They were only interested in building, and remembering. 7 years after New Terra, the first human counterstrike came without warning. A Zephron mining colony in the Kepler 442 system. Population 70,000. Strategic value minimal. The attack was sudden, overwhelming, and brutal. 15 human warships emerged from hyperspace, destroyed the orbital defenses in 40 minutes, and bombarded the colony from orbit. 70,000 Zephrons died, but it was the message that came after that truly chilled the Dominion High Command. A single transmission broadcast across all frequencies. New Terra 4300,000, Kepler 442 70,000. We will continue until the debt is paid in full. They weren't seeking territory. They weren't trying to force negotiations, they were counting. Over the next 3 years, the pattern repeated. Human fleets would strike isolated Zephron positions, calculate the casualties with precision, and broadcast the running total. They were methodical, patient, they never overextended. They never took unnecessary risks. They were working their way through a checklist of 4.3 million deaths, and they would not stop until it was complete. Vexthor called an emergency session of the High Command. Around the holographic table, 40 of the Dominion's highest-ranking military and political leaders materialized as projections from across Zephron space. "We must negotiate," Vexthor stated flatly. "The humans will not stop. Every intelligence analysis confirms it." High Commander Zarkoth, a traditional warrior who had never seen defeat, bristled. "You ask us to surrender to primitives? To admit weakness? The Dominion has never faced an enemy like this," Vexthor interrupted. "They don't care about glory. They don't care about territory. They only care about evening the score. And they've calculated exactly what that means. Then we destroy them." Zarkoth growled. "Mass our fleets. Strike Earth directly. End this." "With what?" Vexthor pulled up fleet status reports. "In 7 years, they've built 15,000 warships. We have 8,000. They're outproducing us 3-1, and the gap is widening. Their economy is entirely militarized. Ours still must maintain civilian sectors. We cannot match their industrial output." "Then we use prohibited weapons," another commander suggested. "Biological warfare, planet killers, we have technology they don't. And if we use those weapons, what do you think happens?" Vexthor's voice was sharp. "Do you think they'll surrender? Or do you think they'll develop those same weapons and use them on every Zephron world they can reach? We taught them we're willing to commit genocide. Don't doubt for a moment they'll return the favor." The chamber fell silent. "The Oracle warned us," Vexthor said quietly. "She told us exactly what would happen. Strike first and they'll never stop. We struck first. And now we're learning what never truly means." 15 years after New Terra, the war had become a grinding inevitability. Human fleets pushed deeper into Zephron space with each passing year. They didn't occupy planets, they destroyed military targets, extracted resources to fuel their war machine, and moved on. They were locusts in warship form, consuming everything necessary to sustain their advance. Zephron losses mounted, not catastrophically. Humanity's methodical approach meant they avoided overextending, but constantly, relentlessly. A colony lost here, a fleet destroyed there, shipyards bombed. Supply lines cut, and always the broadcasts. New. Terra, 4,300,000. Current. Total, 2,847,000. Remaining, debt 1,453,000. They were more than halfway. There. Vexthor stood in the ruins of what had been the Zephron Military Academy on Zephyros Prime. A human strike. Force had hit it 3 days ago. 7,000 cadets and instructors dead. The building still smoldered. He was old now. 15 years of war had aged him beyond his cycles. His exoskeleton showed cracks, his movements were slower. But more than physical age, it was the weight of knowing. Knowing he could have prevented this. Knowing the Oracle had offered him a path to peace and he had chosen pride instead. A younger officer approached. "Sir, the High Command is requesting your presence. They're discussing options." Vexthor knew what that meant. Desperate options. Terrible options. In the command center, the surviving leaders of the Dominion were indeed discussing the unthinkable. "We sue for peace," High Commander Zarkoth was saying, and the defeat in his voice was absolute. "We offer them anything. Territory, resources, reparations, technology, whatever they want." "They don't want anything," Vexthor said as he entered. "Except to finish their count." "Then what do you suggest?" Zarkoth demanded. "We're losing, Vexthor. Slowly but inevitably. Our birth rates can't replace our losses. Our economy is collapsing under the strain. Our client species are abandoning us. In another decade, maybe 2, we'll have nothing left to defend." Vexthor looked at the tactical display. Human fleets were advancing on 3 fronts, unstoppable as a tide. "I suggest," he said slowly, "that we prepare for the end, and that we do so with whatever dignity we can muster. You're giving up? I'm accepting reality. The Oracle told me this would happen. 73 years, she said. We're 15 years in. We have 58 more years of this." He gestured at the display. "Can we last that long? Perhaps, perhaps not. But either way, the ending is already written." He turned to face the High Command, all eyes on him. "Humanity doesn't fight like we do. We seek glorious victory or honorable defeat. They seek completion. They've turned war into mathematics, revenge into accounting. They will achieve their goal because they've decided to, and nothing we do will change that decision. We could try diplomacy, someone suggested weakly. Send envoys with white flags on. They know what white flags mean, Vexthor said. They invented the concept, and they're ignoring ours. Every time we try to communicate, they respond with the same message, the current count and how much further they have to go. He pulled up an intelligence file. Do you know what human children are being taught right now? They're learning orbital mechanics and weapons engineering before they learn music or art. They're solving math problems about fleet logistics. Their entertainment media is entirely about the war, glorifying the sacrifices, memorializing the dead, preparing the next generation to continue the fight if necessary. They've built a civilization with a single purpose, our extinction, and they'll maintain that focus for decades if necessary, generations if necessary. How do you fight that? How do you negotiate with that? The chamber was silent. Finally, Zarkoth spoke, his voice hollow. Then what do? We survive as long as we can. We fight as well as we can. And when the end comes, we face it knowing that we brought this on ourselves. The Oracle offered us wisdom and we chose arrogance. This is the price of that choice. 27 years after New Terra, the human offensive had accelerated. New technologies, developed in the crucible of constant warfare, gave them advantages the Zephrons couldn't counter. Quantum targeting systems that could track ships through hyperspace, autonomous drones that hunted Zephron vessels like predators, weapons that adapted to Zephron defenses in real time. But more than technology, it was human tactical doctrine that proved unstoppable. They had studied every major conflict in galactic history. They had analyzed Zephron battle records captured from conquered systems. They had learned not just how the Zephrons fought, but how they thought. And they had designed strategies specifically to exploit Zephron psychology. Zephrons valued honor, individual heroism, glorious victory. So humans fought without honor, using ambushes, false surrenders, targeting supply lines over combat ships. They fought in ways that Zephron culture considered beneath them, and it worked. Vexthor watched his species adapt, slowly learning to fight the human way. But it was too late. Humanity had a 20-year head start on this style of warfare, and they were better at it. The broadcast continued. New Terra, 4,300,000. Current, total 4,127,000. Remaining, debt 173,000. They were close now, so close. 29 years after New Terra then. Final broadcast came on a cold morning on Zephyros Prime. New Terra, 4,300,000. Current total 4,300,000, debt paid in full. For a moment, Vexthor allowed himself hope. Perhaps they would stop now. Perhaps with their vengeance satisfied, they would negotiate, withdraw, let the Dominion survive in a diminished form. Then the second message arrived. New Terra has been avenged. However, during the war, an additional 2,700,000 humans have died in combat. New debt total, 2,700,000. The count continues. Vexthor felt something break inside him. They had created a perpetual motion machine of revenge. Every human death in the war became a new debt to be paid. The count would never end. Not until one species or the other was extinct. He sat down heavily, his body trembling. Around him, his command staff stood in shocked silence. "Get me a communication channel," he said quietly. "Direct to the human fleet command. I don't care if they've ignored every previous attempt. Keep sending until they acknowledge." It took 6 hours, but finally a human face appeared on the screen. An admiral, her hair gray, her eyes hard as diamonds. "Commander Vexthor," she said. Her voice was neutral, professional. "You have 60 seconds. I wish to negotiate our surrender," Vexthor said. "Complete unconditional surrender. We will accept any terms." The admiral's expression didn't change. "You murdered 4.3 million civilians. You started this war. And now you want mercy?